Hello! Are you feeling lost in your career, like a GPS without a signal? Or maybe you're feeling stuck in a job that's as exciting as watching paint dry. Well, self-coaching is like having a personal coach in your pocket, available whenever you need it. It can help you navigate the twists and turns of your career path and find your true north. Whether you're a recent graduate, a mid-career professional, or a seasoned executive, self-coaching can help you unlock your full potential and achieve career success. So, if you're ready to take control of your career and make it as exciting as a roller coaster ride, join me on this journey of self-coaching for career success.
Are you someone who wants to take control of your career? Are you someone who wants to be a protagonist in your own career story? You want to improve your self-awareness. You want to empower yourself to greater career success, right? Are you someone who wants to learn how to think out of the box? What does it feel like to be coached? Or maybe you're preparing yourself to take advantage of a coaching session, right? If you wondered, no, can I do this myself instead of seeking help from others? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about for the next couple of hours. Hello, everyone. My name is Yuan. For those who don't know me, I'm a practicing career coach, and I've been doing my coaching business for the last 8 years now, over 8 years, in fact, right? And apart from helping clients in their own career issues, helping them reach their own career success stories, I also do lots of workshops like this that you're attending today, right? So some of these workshops are what you see popping up around me now, okay? Now, apart from delivering workshops like this for WSG, for companies, for universities and all, one of my other passion is to actually train other people to become career coaches. Right? And the irony here is that every time I finish a session like today, right, this topic in particular, I get lots of inquiries about how to become a career coach. Right? So there's more information. If you're interested, there's more information towards the end of today's session as well. Now, I've been doing this particular topic for the last 3 years now, and every year is at least 2 to 3 times. Right? And when I'm preparing for this topic, I always ask myself, am I making myself redundant? Am I going to be so successful in delivering this mantra of self-coaching that I'm not going to get any more clients? Well, maybe you can judge for yourself on that. But what I'm going to do very differently today's session as compared to my last sessions is that I'm going to include towards the end a particular portion to justify why everyone still needs a coach. Okay, so if you're interested, stay tuned for that. Okay, now, before I start, I would like to get to know you better as well, because how much I know about you and your background and such will help me fine-tune the way I deliver today's topic. Okay, so I'm going to do this in the form of a poll. Right? So it's a pretty even spread. Okay, although a slight majority has not received any coaching, and then most of you are unemployed, although there are so a fair number of you who are still employed or in a freelance part-time job, and most of you have been to my workshops before. Thank you so much. All right, so let me close this. So great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now I know how to approach today's session. So coaching is actually very simple and yet very difficult in a sense. Okay. Now, how do we deal with coaching? How do I help clients? Right? Essentially, if you look at it, coaching it's like a bridge between 2 points: where you are now versus where you want to reach. Right? Your career goal. Correct now, right? So where you are now, if you have issues that is preventing you from reaching your career goals, that's the job of a coach, to help you resolve those issues, to help you map a process by which you can reach your career goal. Now, for those of you, right, who have worked with a coach before, can you tell me how has the coach helped you in resolving your issues and moving you towards the career goals? What sort of things have they helped you on or helped you with? What sort of techniques? Can you type into the chat box and let us know how has the coach helped you? So let me see. Provide guidance. Anybody else? Maylin says provide guidance. Any other ways that they have helped you? Review the resume. Let me just put this down. Register for career courses. Help to craft resumes and giving basic interviews. Like a sounding board. Okay, very good. Any other ways they have helped you? Getting to know yourself better and your niche. Excellent. Okay, very good. I mean, you have described certain basic processes, but in essence, a coach helps you along the following ways. Okay, they help guide you to where you want to go, right? They give you a lot of feedback as to what you're doing right and sometimes even what you're doing wrong, right? Somebody mentioned a sounding board, right? So they become a reflector. You ask them, you tell them what you think, and they give you their thoughts. Right? I want to use this word co-create because a lot of time people feel that when they go to a coach, they are looking for solutions. A real coach, a good coach, not only gives you the solution, but actually, in fact, they work with you to create the solution for yourself. Okay, so coaches, in effect, even though they may know the answer, they want to co-create the solution with you. So they are working with you. All right. And how does this process develop? They develop or enhance your own personal capabilities. Okay, so that's how a coaching session with another coach is done. Now let's talk about self-coaching. Now, self-coaching involves the same principles, but here the impact is on yourself. Okay, so it is when you cultivate your own personal development, okay, by assessing what do they assess? Because you can't talk to anyone else, you're talking to yourself, right? So by assessing your own inner wisdom, right? And therefore, the process of this is that the outcome of this is that it really helps improve your own self-awareness, right? And in essence, once you know more about yourself, it goes a long way to helping you regain control of whatever outcome you want to achieve. All right? So, self-coaching. Now, whether it's self-coaching or whether it's being coached by another person, there is really a few basic steps we follow, right? The career development process, I call it, right? To reach from where you are now to where you want to go, right? So firstly, we have to understand what the issues are. Then we take a look at who we are, what sort of person we are, what do we like to do. Quite a lot of stuff in there. Once we get to know all these things, then we start mapping out what is possible for us. Okay, the possibilities, the options. And from there, we pick the best, the most suitable options, and then we take an action plan to achieve our career goals. Now, throughout the whole process, as you see up there, it is actually a process of asking the right questions. Okay, whether you are being coached by someone else or whether you're coaching yourself, it's about asking the right questions. All right. So by the end of today, for the next couple of hours, I hope these are the learning outcomes you can achieve. Right? Firstly, is to identify really, to know how to identify what is the real issue you are being faced with. Right? Then understand and possibly experiencing the actual coaching process. I'm going to go through the steps that I mentioned just now in the previous slide. Right? And then towards the end, once you've gone through the steps, you would have developed a plan to self-achieve your own career succession, okay? Your own career progress. Hopefully, all right? So these are the 3 learning outcomes for today. Those of you who have been to my past workshops before, you know I've been bringing in people, case studies, past clients, to help illustrate some of the steps that I'm going to go through with you, and it's going to be the same for today, all right? So let's hear from Jamie and Raja.
Hey, I'm Jamie and I've been working in product marketing for the past 5 years. Although I've gained valuable experience in my current role, I'm feeling unfulfilled and looking for a change. I'm hoping to gain insights on how to identify my strengths and values, assess my career goals, and take action to achieve them.
Greetings, I'm Raja, and I've over 20 years of experience in finance. While I've achieved a lot in my career, I'm looking to take my leadership skills to the next level. That's why I'm here today to learn more about self-coaching for career success.
Right. So both Jamie and Raja are not real people, okay? But they are case studies. The nature of Jamie and Raja's issues and the plans they want to go through to achieve are really an amalgamation of all the previous clients that I've had. Okay, so they are very real issues, very real people in a sense of their ambitions, their issues, their thinking. Right? So I'm going to bring you through the process they are going to go through for today's various techniques as well. Right? So a storyline, if you will, to how they coach themselves using the techniques I'm going to describe to you. Okay? All right. A lot of topics here you see, right, all surrounding me. Okay, so for the next couple of hours, I'm going to bring you through all the various topics you see here. Now, so let's start. Okay, so let's talk about issues first. Let's talk about issues first. All right. Now, all of you are here today to learn about self-coaching. I am going to assume that you have some underlying career issues. Some underlying career issues. Right? Can you help type into the chat box what are your current career issues? Can you type it into the chat box? Be as precise as you can. Type into the chat box what are your current career issues. Okay, you want promotion, finding out strength to improve and bring me to the next level, finding and landing into a full-time career, no career growth. Okay. Any others? Change of careers, change of values, redesigning your life. Fair enough. Very good. Any other issues? You want to go from training to HR. Okay, learning and development. What else? So it's almost like a change in career as well. Okay. I think the thing here now is what's stopping you from doing this? What's stopping you from doing what you want to do? Okay, so some of you say it's boredom, struggles, landing a job, going through selection and interview, change of career. Okay, so issues are things that are stopping you, right? Some of the things that you have mentioned in the chat box are things that you want to do, right? What you want to do is great, but what is stopping you from doing that? What is stopping you from doing that are the issues that you are facing. Okay, so first thing first, you must understand now, right? Define what the issue is. If some of you are saying, I want to change careers, then what is the issue? The issue is maybe you do not know how to do it, right? Or you're not sure which career to switch to, right? You're not sure what training or what qualifications are needed to go to that career. So identify the issues. Okay, identify the issue. Someone mentioned fear. Fear is an issue. Okay, so that's your first step now. What is the issue that's stopping you, that's preventing you from moving forward, taking the next step, making a step towards where you want to go? That is the issue. Okay, so those of you who have planted some statements into the chat box, all right, have a rethink again. What are the real issues? What are the real issues that's facing you? Okay, sometimes when you look at issues, it's a question of whether they are real or not. Okay, what do I mean whether they are real or not? It's really about whether are you focusing on things that you cannot control or things that you can control. Okay? Think about this. If you are focusing on things that you have no control over, you cannot influence the outcome, then why are we focusing on that? Okay, rather can we focus on something that we can control? So I'm going to share with you the next few slides to try and identify what these are, to help you categorize what these are. Okay, so typically issues can be divided into these two characteristics. One is what we call a gravity issue. The other one is what we call an anchor issue. Now, what are these? Let's go in step by step. All right. Gravity issues are what? Just like the picture here says, right? The apple drops on your head is because of gravity. Gravity is there. It cannot be changed. All right. So, as far as our career progression is concerned, what are some of the examples you can think of that are problems, that are issues that you have no control over, but it still affects your own career progress? Organization top management decision, okay, hiring market, possibly, all right, hiring market in the whole, but whether there's some niches you can still go for. Overall eco industry that you are in, possibly. Any other gravity problems? Company insolvent, yes, that is a gravity problem. You have no chance, no control over that. Hiring manager decisions, it's a yes and no. We'll talk about that in a little while. Okay, all right, good. So essentially, if you look at it, issues that we have no control over could be company that's not doing well, okay, or company that's been acquired, can be bought over by somebody else. You have no control over that. You have no influence over that, right? Somebody mentioned industry declining, right? You cannot say, I want to push up the whole industry. No way you can do that. And because of that, maybe the company is closing down, right? So these are issues that you have no control over. So revisit those things that you typed into the chat box, right, previously. And maybe you have a rethink against it. Those issues that I've mentioned just now, are any of them gravity issues? Think about this. Okay. So let's hear from Jamie, because Jamie has a set of issues and her issues are essentially gravity issues.
I'm currently working for a local Singaporean company who distributes personal care items in the FMCG sector. While my title is a product manager, I feel I'm doing more like a sales or distributor agent, as I'm always focused on putting the products on the shelves and doing retail promotions. I don't do real marketing like product design or create exciting media and publicity campaigns. This is not really what interests me. While I get along with my boss and colleagues, I'm not sure if they can do anything about expanding my role, as the company is just a distributor agent for brand owners.
Right. So can you see what she's thinking right now? She's been placed in a situation where the nature of the business of the company that she's working in is such that it limits her role, right? It limits what she wants to do in her current role. Okay? So long as that business retains its nature, it doesn't change its nature, that is essentially what she is going to be doing. Can she control that? Unlikely. All right? She can't tell the company, hey, change your whole business role for me. Unlikely she can do that. All right? So in essence, Jamie is faced with a gravity issue. Okay. So let's take a look at the next category of issues. This is an anchor issue problem, right? Anchor issues are what? Anchor issues are things that is dragging you, holding you back from achieving what you want to achieve. But once you lift up the anchor, you can sail away. All right? So it's just a matter of knowing how to lift the anchor up. Now, can you type into the chat box again? What do you think are some examples of anchor problems, anchor issues? Qualification, yeah, training. So in other words, lack of skills in a particular area. Okay. Stuck with job of your first qualification. Okay, so that could be a yes and no. So stuck with job, so you want to change into a different job. So that probably is an anchor issue. All right. Any others? Essentially, it's like maybe you can't get along with your colleagues or your boss. Right? Maybe, there's something that's holding you back on your performance. Right? Maybe it's because maybe some physical ailment, or maybe sometimes it's like you just don't feel good about certain things, right? So it's affecting your performance. Okay, no promotion. There could be a lot of reasons for not having promotion, right? Okay, obviously one of it is that maybe there's no upper level to go to, but at the same time maybe you are just not hitting the KPIs that you're supposed to hit in order to fulfill the promotion. Okay, job scope and nature. Now, this is slightly different from Jamie's because Jamie's job scope is restricted by the nature of a company's business. However, if you are in a situation where you have some influence over the things that you are doing in your job, right? That can be considered as a anchor issue. So let's talk about Raja. Right? Let's hear from Raja. What do you think his issues are?
Working for over 20 years in finance, I've amassed a lot of experience and currently heading a finance team. While I've enjoyed what I'm doing, I really want to go beyond just the finance area. I've seen my peers being more involved in strategic business matters for their companies, and I think that could be my next path. But right now, my workload doesn't really allow me time to look beyond my current field, and I feel I'm falling behind.
So Raja here, essentially, the issues that he's faced with are really anchor issues. What are these? He's wanting to go into a slightly more expanded role to involve business planning and such. Right? He feels that currently his peers are progressing well because they are doing that area. However, he's still happy with his company. Right? And he's not saying that the company is stopping him from getting an expanded role. Right? The other thing that's probably holding him back is the workload. Okay? So, if you look at it, Raja is faced with anchor issues. Right? So, there are ways for him to lift the anchor so that he can move forward. All right? So, you'll have a situation where you have anchor issues and you have gravity issues. Right? So that was a very short exposition of how you should look at issues that you're faced with. All right. Now, don't let the short section here sort of give you a notion that this is a very simple process. No, in fact, a lot of the time when I work with my clients, I spend probably 30 to 40% of the time my sessions with them on trying to identify what is the real issue. Right? So if you are sort of spending a lot of time here, please don't get discouraged because identifying the right issue really influences the way you approach the next few steps. Okay? So again, the focus here is on making sure that the issues that you have, you can control. No point focusing on issues that you cannot control. All right? And therefore, once you can focus and identify and focus on issues that you can control, you can influence, then those are real issues you can try and resolve. Move on to the next one, which is understanding yourself. Understanding yourself. Okay. Remember what I said just now earlier? The coaching process is really a process where we ask the right questions. Okay. So in this portion where we need to find out more about ourselves, what do you think are some of the questions you need to ask yourself? Remember, this is a self-coaching process. What are some of the questions you need to ask yourself to gain a better insight as to who you are and what you do? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think are some of the questions you need to ask yourself? Okay, who am I? Okay, that's a very broad question, but I think it's a good starting point. What is your USP? What keeps me motivated? I like that. What are my passion? What are my goals? What job will make me happy? I like that, Erica. What job will make me happy? What is my career objective? Very good. Okay. I mean, essentially, if you look at it, questions we ask ourselves can be put into three groups. Okay. First one, what engages me? Okay. What motivates me? Right? What's important to me? What's important to me? Right? And what I do well. Right? I mean, if you look at it, if you look at all the comments and the statements that you made into the chat box, essentially they can be grouped into these 3 points, right? So if we do that, okay, and these 3 points become your note of self-assessment, okay? So how do we then proceed next? If you look at it, what engages me? If you want to find out what engages you, you want to explore what job is aligned to your own interests and personality, right? which means you have to focus on what type of job, okay, the scope, the function. And this has to match with whether it interests you, it motivates you, right? Then if you look at what's important to me, what type of environment best supports my values? Because no point you going into an environment, and here environment typically we mean organization, right? That prevents us from being fulfilled, being happy. Okay, so here the focus is on the nature of the organization. When I say nature, it could be things like the culture, the people, maybe as simple as the location, even the country, which part of the country. It could be as simple as that. Okay, so and what do I do well? When we look at what do you do well, essentially you have to match that with what is in demand in the marketplace, right? But you also need to focus on this one, which is a very important factor. What problems I solve. In other words, how I help people. Okay? So if you want to take a screenshot of this, because I'm going to explain each one in nature, right? You can take a screenshot of this. Okay, so in order to identify these three areas, there are lots of ways to do this, but essentially I always use these two tools. Okay, what engages me, what's important to me is one tool, which I'll describe in the next slide, and then another one is what do I do well. Okay, so let's do the first one first. Okay, here we're trying to understand what motivates us, right? What motivates us. And when we understand what motivates us, we are really looking at what's important to us, what's our values, right? What's our values? Sometimes, you can ask somebody, what are your values? If I ask you now, what are your values? You have to think hard and long, and then maybe sometimes you type it in, and then you say, I'm still not sure. But when we take a step back and we look at all the things that we have done before, all right, and we try and understand in those things that we have done before, what we like and what we did not like, that gives us an indication of what motivates us, and therefore that gives us an indication of what our values are. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. Now, I have no time to really run through with you the whole process, but I have done a short video on this. I'm going to share that video with the link to that video with you so that you can refer to this at your own time. So essentially, this is what I call the meaningful experience exercise. Right? Very simple, but very revealing. If you have not done it before, you'll see the impact of it. Essentially, we're looking at 4 columns, right? Job title, activities related to the job, liked about the job, disliked about the job. Okay, very simple things to fill up. Here, the trick here is to fill up at least 3 past or current job activities. At least 3. No point in only 2. You understand why in a little while. Okay. And here, for each job activity that you have done, describe what you like and what you didn't like in those jobs. Okay. And the trick now is then to spot a pattern. Okay. That's why you need at least 3. Because if anything less than 3, the pattern doesn't exist. If you have more than 3, better. Especially for those of you who have a longer work experience, right? You can put down as many as you want to try to give you an idea of what the pattern is. All right. So that's a very brief description, but I'm going to bring you through what Jamie has done. So let me just pop this up. Okay. So if you look at it, Jamie fills up this meaningful experience exercise. She has listed down 3 jobs or activities that she has done. Okay. Her product manager role currently, she was an intern during university in an advertising agency. She also volunteered in the church. So those are the 3 things that she has done. Right? Now, what are the activities? So in her current role, develop pricing, promotional activities, liaise with retail outlets, dealing with major retail accounts and buyers. Her current role. Intern, helping media and production departments in ad hoc assignments. As a volunteer, working with youth and teens. All right. So now we take a look at what she liked and what she didn't like. What she liked about all the 3 roles. What she liked in her current role, brainstorming with sales to reach on the best ways to sell new products, developing interesting retail promotions. Okay? As an intern, she loved being involved in creating new media and creatives. As a volunteer in church, she loved helping youth overcome their own problems and challenges. Now, let's take a look at what she disliked. And we all know in every job, no matter how good it was or is, there's always something we don't like. So let's list this down. Jamie said, okay, what she doesn't like about her current job, doing retail only activities with limited support, with limited opportunities for brand and product development, dealing with retail buyers, not end consumers. Okay? As an intern, she didn't like the deadline, she didn't like the late hours, she didn't like having to work on weekends. As a volunteer, sometimes it's a very emotional, taxing session, okay, that affects her, and sometimes she comes across unreasonable parents. Okay, so now if you look at this, taking Jamie as an example, here the next task is to do what? Remember I said you spot patterns. So themes, patterns. So here, can you help Jamie identify what she likes and dislikes as far as the theme is concerned? Can you type into the chat box? If you look at the like column, what do you think are some of the common things that she liked? Okay, somebody said creative thinking, problem solver, brainstorming, being creative. Any others? Helping people. Yeah, helping people is a key involvement. Being involved, right? Being involved is also one of the things that she's keep mentioning. Yeah, very good. Okay, so you need to think about this. Okay, so here, my analysis here that she likes what? Being involved with people who thinks alike. Okay, she wants to be creative and she wants to try new things all the time. Okay, so that's my assessment of what she likes to do. What are the common things she likes to do? Now, what does she not like? Can you type in the chat box? What do you think she doesn't like? Weekends, late hours, fair enough. Any other things she doesn't like? Being limited, being constrained. I think being constrained is the key word, right? Being constrained. What others? Any other things that you think that she doesn't like? Prefer B2B engagement? Not really, because I think that's one of the things that she doesn't like. Yeah, that's one of the things she doesn't like, correct? Less support. Yeah, less support. So essentially, if you look at it, okay, Jamie dislikes here what? Having to work with others who do not share the same outlook, right? Limited exposure to the things that she wants to do. Okay? So you need to go through this process for yourself, right? And you need to think about what are the common themes involved in the things that you like and don't like. So you want to take a screenshot, by all means do so. And take a screenshot of this. Okay, so hopefully you got a screenshot of that. So from there, you are in a very good position now to identify what is your ideal work environment. What is your ideal work environment? Okay, and there is really a process to do this. I'm going to share with you this process here. Okay, so typically when you ask somebody, what are the factors that make up an ideal work environment for you? Typically, you're looking at a few common categories. Job challenge, learning opportunities, autonomy, satisfaction. Satisfaction could be compensation, it could be progression, like promotion and all that. Culture, okay, culture can be a broad thing. So later we're going to go through a process of how we define this, okay? Colleague support, okay? Supervisor support, and a work-life fit, okay? So you have to rank, meaning which one is 1, which one is 2, which one is 3, which one is 4, okay? And after you have ranked these, for each item, you need to dig deeper. You need to dig deeper, okay? What are the things you need to understand for each item, right? Because there's no point ranking this. You need to dig deeper, all right? So the first thing you need to understand is this. what factor is most important in this component? So for example, job challenge and learning opportunities. What factor is most important in this particular career? All right. And how do I know when I have got this, when I have experienced this? Okay. Now, so you do this for every single item you rank there. Now, I'm going to give you an example with Jamie again. Okay. So if you look at Jamie, right? Jamie, in her situation she's faced with, she has ranked in this order. So her first ranking is job challenge, her second, satisfaction, culture, then followed by colleague support, autonomy, supervisor support, work-life fit. Okay, so she has ranked those that are important in terms of importance to her. So then the next step is what? Describing each one of those, right? So let's take the example of the first point, job challenge and learning opportunities. So she has to dig deeper. What does she mean by job challenge and learning opportunities? So here, what factor is most important? So for Jamie is to do real product and strategic marketing. That's important to her. But then she has to ask herself, how do I know I have gotten this? How do I know I have gotten this? Right? How will you know when you experience this? So she would say, oh, that means when I know I've achieved this when I'm involved in new product creation, new product development. I am able to customize media and advertising campaigns. I have input and feedback into packaging and promotional mechanics. So if she's in a role that has all those things, it means she is able to achieve that first point in her ranking of doing real product strategic marketing. Okay? So you have to do the same thing for each and every factor that you see there. Each and every factor that you see there. Okay? So then the next thing that Jamie would have to do, as far as her ranking is concerned, satisfaction. So what do we mean by what would she mean by satisfaction? What factor is most important in the component of satisfaction? Is it pay? Right? Is it the normal working hours like somebody mentioned there? Right? So how would she know when she has experienced this? Where maybe then it would say that she will go home happy every day. She goes back to be able to spend time with her family. Those are the things that are signs that tell her that she is very happy, very satisfied in the things that she's doing. So you do the same thing. Okay? Every single thing. Now, you may ask yourself, why am I going through the whole process of doing this? Here, the idea here is that you need to understand what sort of environment best suits you. Best suits you. Okay? And there's no point telling yourself that, oh, I want an environment with a good culture. You have to dig deeper and say, what do I mean by having a good culture? How would I know when I have seen the company's culture in action that is positive for me? You have to put it down, all the signs, all right, so that you know that, oh, once I got this, that means I have achieved this. Okay? So hopefully you get that sense. Let me sort of, you can take a screenshot of this as well. Okay? This is what Jamie has done. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. I'm going to come back to this in a little while, all right, as an input to the next few steps. Okay, but here again, I want to reiterate, it's important for you to understand, what do you mean by having an ideal work environment in terms of the different factors involved. Okay, once it is clear to you, then you know what to look out for. All right. So we have gone through the meaningful experience exercise where it has told us what engages you, what's important to you. And from there, you are able to identify these points which we mentioned just now. Okay, so you know what type of job suits you, right? You know what type of organizational environment that you would like to work in. Hopefully you're okay with this. All right, so let's move on to the next one. What is the next step? It is about identifying what we do well. But here, over the next few slides, I'm going to go through the steps in a slightly faster way for time's sake, right? But you get the gist of what I'm trying to achieve here. So here, essentially, we are looking at a few things, right? We all know we have skills. We all know we have skills. But it's no point listing down all the skills that you have without understanding a couple of things. One, are you good at it? Two, do you like to use those skills? Okay, so this is what we are trying to do here. We are trying to understand how competent we are in those skills that we have and whether we like to use those skills. Okay, and this has impact on what we want to do later on, okay, which I'm going to share with you. So let's use Raja now as a case study to try and go through this particular exercise with you. Okay, so let's take a look at the first box, which is the purple box. Okay, I am good at this and I like to do it. I'm good at this and I like to do it. So you think about it now for yourself. What are some of the things that you like to do and you feel that you are pretty good at it? Okay, and if you look at it, if you have skills in this area, you're pretty motivated to use those skills, right? So we call it motivated skills. Okay, so Raja, he's done the same exercise, and here he's listed down his motivated skills: strong financial management skills, strategic planning, people management. Those are his motivated skills. In other words, he's good at it and he likes to use it. Okay? All right. So hopefully you have some of these. Next, the red box. You're still good at this, but you really don't like to use it. Right? But people keep asking you to do it. When people keep asking you to do something that you don't like to do, what happens? Just think about it. If somebody tells you, hey, Joan, I know you're very good at this. Please help me with this. But then Joan says, I really don't like to do this. I really don't like to use this. It causes you sometimes burnout. Right? It causes you burnout. Okay, because the more you use it, the more stressed you are. The more you use it, the more stressed you are. Okay, so Raja here, he says, I'm good at dealing with board members. I'm good at business traveling. I am good at HR strategic planning, but I don't like to use those skills because the more I use it, the more it stresses me out. Okay. Let's take a look at the yellow box. I'm not good at this, but I like to do it. Sometimes this particular yellow box indicates an element of passion in there. Right? You may not be so good at it, but you really have the passion to learn more about it. So you are not good at this, but you like to do this. So these are skills where you really want to develop further. So Raja, what does he do? He wants to learn more about long-range business forecasting, new business development. Right? He's not so good at it, but he's really interested in this. So he wants to learn more about this. Okay. So do you have any in this developmental skills area? Gray box now. Gray box. I'm not good at this and I don't like to use it. Now, in any case, when we talk about things that you don't like to do and you're not good at it, essentially you're thinking, I'm going to try avoid it or it's going to be irrelevant to me. Okay. Because I'm going to try and avoid things that I can avoid, jobs that forces me to do this. Okay? In any case, if you are not good at it and you don't like to do, usually you are not in that particular job itself. So as far as Raja is concerned, okay, doing repetitive tasks, working in isolation, new product development, these are the things that he's not good at and he doesn't feel that he has to do it, okay, in his current role. All right. Now, good question from Vincent. How do we ascertain whether we are really good at a skill? Is it comparing with others or by some standards? It is up to you. Okay. Yes, you can compare to a standard, especially if there's a particular benchmark that everybody measures against. If you feel that you are above that benchmark, you can say that you're good at it. However, another way which most of my clients tend to do is that they tend to look at what are some of the things that many people have come to ask them for help. I'll give you a personal example. Before I went through this exercise, right, in my previous life, I was very much involved in helping postgraduate students, right? And one of the things that they always come to me was to ask me for insight and help into how they can move into a new career track and all that. And I found that the reason why they came to me was because of my own past career history where I was very successful in switching careers. And when I was talking to them, I felt that, hey, I could help. I really enjoyed the process. Okay? So therefore, I identified that because of the number of people that came to ask me and how I felt about it when I was helping them, I felt that that was one of my motivated skills. Right? And in fact, that was one of the reasons why I embarked on becoming a career coach as well. So hopefully, Vincent, that sort of gives you an answer to that question. All right. So now you've gone through all these particular areas. So the question you ask yourself now is, so what's the point? I know my motivated skills, I know my burnout skills, I know my developmental skills, I know my irrelevant skills. So what's the point of knowing all this? Essentially, we are talking about awareness, isn't it? We're talking about awareness. Awareness of what? Awareness of what you are good at, what you prefer to do, and more importantly, where you want to further develop. Right? Yeah, see all the comments in the chat box. And once you combine all these three, you will know how you can help people. You will know how you can help people. All right? So now you have all these things. You have all these things identified. What engages you, what's important to you, what you do well. Right? And here, essentially, if you look at it, right, the last portion here, now you have to look at the market now. What skills are in demand? Now, in order to help you solidify this part, the next step I'm going to emphasize here is a very, very important part of my coaching process with all my clients. Those of you who have been to my past workshops will know this, okay? Is this, how do you identify what problems you solve? What problems you solve? Now, I want to spend a bit of time to try and make sure that you all understand the importance of this. The importance of this. Now, ask yourself, if people come to Trixie and say, Trixie, I know you can solve this problem for me. What is the impact here? How does it make you feel as a person? How does it make you feel that you are able to help that person solve a particular problem? Your worth, CV says, yeah, your value, you'll be happier. Excellent. I really like this, Erika. Because you feel satisfied, you feel fulfilled, right? Your worth, your happiness, any other values, any other things that comes to mind when people come to you and say, hey, I know, Erika, you are very good at solving this. What happens? What do you think? Essentially, if you look at it, you are seen as someone who provides value. Right? You are seen as someone who provides value. Right? When you are someone who provides value, you become an asset to the company, to the organization. You are not a liability. Correct? Right? And because you are known as someone who can solve problems, this adds to your personal brand. Whoa, do you know how strong that is? Okay? I'm going to talk a little bit more about personal branding later on, right? And I want to offer you a different definition of success in my own eyes, right? To me, I achieve career success if I'm seen as someone who is able to help other people. I'm good at helping other people in that particular area. To me, that's career success, right? So I'd like to propose to you another definition for you to consider in your own career success story. To look at career success as being able to effectively help people in that particular area, be seen as helping people in that particular area. Okay, so how do we do this? How do we be seen as a problem solver? How do we seen as a problem solver? Really taking all the information that you have gathered just now, all the things that you have gathered just now, right? Again, essentially, how to identify problems you solve. So here, let's take a look at Raja. Let's take a look at Raja. All right. Raja, right, is the way he does things is very typical of a lot of people. You may have gone through the same process yourself. Okay, I'm going to suggest an added layer to this. So for Raja, it's very easy for him to say, I have these skills, I have this experience. So skills will be financial management, strategic planning, building teams. Those are his skills and experience. Now, this could be a mixture of the motivated skills and the burnout skills, right? I'm not saying you only put motivated skills, although most people tend to do that. You can also put in elements of the developmental skills and burnout skills as well, but manage it in a way that you present yourself as a problem solver. All right, so I leave it to you for that. Now, most people then from here go straight into the other portion, how I do it, right? So Raja, in this sense, typical as many clients and job seekers, they say, I do it by building strong financial processes, I develop effective teams, strategic plans, I have close collaboration with stakeholders. So this is how I do it. Okay, I have these skills and this is how I do it. Now, I'm going to suggest to you right now, instead of just doing that, which is what most job seekers do, add another layer. Be upfront and tell people what problems you solve. In this case, for Raja, right? What problems can he solve? Here, he can solve situations where there's weak financial structure. He can solve problems relating to public listing, inaccurate business forecasting, unpredictable future projections. Now, why is this such a powerful way of thinking now? Instead of just only highlighting the yellow box and the blue box, okay, you be explicit about what problems you solve by highlighting those items in the red box. Be very explicit about this, okay? And why you want to be explicit about this, why you want to know what problems you solve. Can you imagine this? If now you know what problems you can solve, you are then searching when you come across a company that has those problems, and you tell the company, I can help you with that. Can you imagine what an impact that makes to the person that's experiencing those problems? Can you imagine the impact? Okay, so I really urge you to really think about your situation in those terms. Okay, identifying what problems you solve. Okay, so again, maybe I go back to Raja again. If you want to take a screenshot of what Raja has done, all right, take a screenshot of this. I'm going to share with you Jamie's problem solving as well, so that you have another area to look at. Okay, took a screenshot for Raja. Okay, so let's take a look at Jamie. All right, so Jamie, same process. Okay, what are my skills and experience? She would say, product management, creative planning, collaborative planning. Okay, what problems can she solve? Ineffective new product launches, division between sales and marketing, unfamiliarity with retail and consumer trends. Why? Because she's been through that. Okay, and how does she do it? All those things that you see there: close partnership with sales, working with key accounts directly, familiarity with the creative agency process, developing cohesive brand platforms. So again, you can take a picture of this. All right, so essentially, if you look at it, once you know the items in the red box, it puts you in such a powerful position to then go and identify which companies need those areas, those problems to be solved. And then you tell them, I can help you with that. Okay. I want to address this particular issue about imposter syndrome. Right? Gary, I think you are the one that asked me this, so I just want to highlight this to everybody here. Okay. What is imposter syndrome? And why is it so impactful on us? I'm sure all of you know what imposter syndrome is, right? Essentially, is you telling yourself here, I don't think I can do this, I don't have the self-confidence. But, at the end of the day, how is this going to impact you? Essentially, it could be something that holds you back. that doesn't give you the confidence so that you dare not take the next step. You dare not take the next step. So then the question is, how do you try and get over this? Now, there's been a lot of literature about imposter syndrome and how to get over it. A lot of it is psychological. I'm not going to dwell into this because I think you can find out in the Google itself. All right. However, I'm just going to go through with you a few basic steps which I have done for my own clients, and to a large extent, it's been pretty successful. Okay, so the first one here, you need to understand imposter syndrome happens all the time to a lot of people, right? So you are not alone in this. Okay, but the key thing here to address your own self-limiting belief is really you need to understand you cannot have any judgment on yourself. Whatever you do, don't judge yourself. All right, just focus on the moment, right? The things that you're doing, the feeling that you're doing in order to help people. Okay, have a lot of self-compassion, have a lot of self-gratitude. Now, I know these are big words here, but I think these are things that you want to think in your head. But in terms of action itself, in the self-coaching process, okay, essentially you want to take small steps that are manageable, okay, steps that you feel that it's not over the top, okay. You want to set targets and goals that you can see down the line. I'm going to talk about goal setting later on. Huh? See down the line and say, oh yes, I can reach that, or I know how to achieve that. Okay. You want to visualize success. Again, I'm going to talk about visualizing success in a little while. Okay. Growth mindset. A lot of stuff when you talk about growth mindset. Essentially, it is not being afraid to fail, going forth and trying new things. Okay? But one last bit, which I feel is always really happy, people are really happy to talk about, is this part. Relive what you have done well in the past. You know, things that are probably similar to the things that you're going through right now that's creating this self-imposter syndrome. Okay, relive those and think, hey, actually I've done it before. I can do it again. Okay, so imposter syndrome, everybody has it throughout their lifetime, right? But it is surmountable. It is surmountable. Okay. All right. We spent a little bit more time on this particular portion because I think it's pretty important for you. Okay. Understanding yourself, looking at these 3 question areas: what engages me, what's important to me, what I do well. Once you have those 3 sets of information, you are able to then identify what problems you can solve. And the power of knowing what problems you can solve is that when you are going out to talk to people, talking to companies, even in your interviews, your job search and all, you are able to then see, oh, this company has got this problem. I can help them with that problem. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the next portion, which I think is really one of the most important gold standard things that a coach needs to do with his client, which is what? Assessing options. Assessing options. All right. Now, before we go into assessing options itself, one of the things we need to do is look at what career success looks like for you. What career success looks like for you. And I recently came across this book by somebody called Peter Attia. Okay. And in that book, he basically talks about, what does the ideal future look like for you? And what does that imply about how you need to live today? Right? So in essence, if you look at it, if you imagine a future, the ideal future, this implies that there are certain actions you need to do in the present itself. Right? So remember what I said about, one of the things that you need to do is to think about what is success like for me? What is success like for me? Okay, so let's take a look at what Jamie and Raja feels about success. Right?
Success to me is about me being excited to go to work, being allowed to exercise my creativity, and being involved on all aspects of marketing. Equally important is also working with great colleagues who share the same vision and outlook.
I would love to be leading a business unit and be responsible for strategic business growth. I yearn for the opportunity to expand and grow a company into a regional powerhouse, and eventually leading to public listing.
You've heard what Jamie and Raja feel success should look like to each of them. Very different pictures, right? We're going to come back to their notion of success later on, how it's going to fine-tune the way they approach their next path. Okay, so we'll stay tuned for that. Huh? So, but this is a very important bit because you need to know what it looks like for you. Now, so here we come back to this notion of trying to identify options for you. And I said earlier on, this is really one of the number one things that a coach needs to do with a client, is to help the client understand what are the possibilities for him or her in order for him or her to achieve success. Okay, so this is one of the primary things a coach needs to do. And if you are self-coaching, this is something is very important for you to achieve. Right? You cannot just say, I only go down one path. You need to know the full picture of what is possible for you. What is possible for you. So we come back to this thing about asking the right questions. Asking the right questions. So again, same thing here. What questions do we need to ask ourselves in order to identify what is possible for us? Identify what is possible for us. So really, you got to take a step back and understand a few things. Number one, what are your priorities in your career? If you want to include what are your priorities in your life, because in many ways, our career, it really overlaps a lot with our life, right? So list down what are your priorities. Once you understand what your priorities are, then you start thinking, do these fit my current situation? Do these fit my current situation? From there, then you can start looking at what are the possible options or paths that you have. In most cases, most people, there are two, right? I'm going to focus on these two, although some people will say there's a third one. Right? One, you stay on in your current situation. That means those of you who are working, stay on in your current job or current path, or you look for something new, totally, right? I'm not going to talk about starting a business because there's a whole new topic altogether about entrepreneurship. I'm not going to talk about this, okay? Once you have identified these two, your next step is to then look at what is the best case and worst case scenario for each of those options or of those options. And we are looking at your best case, worst case scenario. You need to keep referring back to what you have found out about yourself. What you have found out about yourself. Okay? So I'm going to go through with you an example. So Jamie again. Jamie again. Okay, so we revisit what her situation was. She says her priority, right, was to get exposure to marketing, to get a great team. Yes, that's what she listed down as one of the things that's important to her. Currently, right now, she feels in her current situation, it's not a good fit for her. It's not a good fit for her. Okay, so what does it mean? What are her possibilities here? Essentially, if you look at the two options, right, she stays on or she looks for a new job. Right. So what's the best case scenario? If she stays on, the best case scenario for her would be if a brand owner takes over the distributorship. This has happened before. You have seen many cases of brand owners, right, feeling that, hey, this country has got potential. I'm going to come in and set up my own sales office or own HQ. Happened before. So this could be her best case scenario, that whatever brand she's working on right now in the current company, the brand owner comes and takes over, and then she has a part to play in the brand owner's setup. Worst case scenario, stays on, she feels stagnated, and worst case what? The brand owner may come in or the brand owner may actually go to another distributor, so they lose a distributorship and then she's lost also. Okay. Looking for a job, looking for a new job. Best case scenario is what? Best case scenario is that, wow, she steps right into a next role and then role fits her better. That is the best case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, she can't find a job for a long time especially if she's targeting an industry or place where the opportunities are declining. Okay, so best case, worst case. Right? Now, if she's going to say, I want to look for a job, then what are the factors she needs to consider? Remember, she went through this exercise of what is the ideal work environment for her. So she needs to pull out that list and look at it again, okay, including all the breakdowns you see for each factor that I've asked you to do. Okay, so important information to keep, knowing what is your ideal work environment. And once you have that, then you start thinking, all right, which organization should I target? I'm going to go very quickly through this using Jamie's example here on these steps that I've listed down here. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to describe each step one by one. All right, so here, the first thing here is to list down some companies that you feel that it would suit you. And I'll go through why those companies suit you. Okay, you can scan the industry, can look at what is the growth segments, the trend, ask your good friend Google or talk to your network, you list down all the companies. Okay, I would suggest between 8 to 10, not more than 10, because that becomes a bit cumbersome. Usually my clients work on about 7 to 8, okay, which is fine. Okay, then you ask yourself this. Okay, so let's say Jamie goes through the exercise and she's listed down those 8 companies that you see on the left. Okay, so she said P&G, Unilever, L'Oreal, and all that sort of thing. Okay, so next thing, you need to ask yourself, why does this company excite me? Okay? How is this aligned to what I'm interested in? If you want to use the word passion, by all means do so. Okay. As far as Jamie is concerned, let's say we use one of her examples, P&G, Procter & Gamble. Right? She has chosen one of those. Right? We use Procter & Gamble as an example to answer this question. Why does this company excite me? For Jamie, she might say, oh, because P&G has got strong product range, they've got very innovative marketing. Yeah, that's why she's excited about P&G. Okay. Next question you need to ask yourself. Okay, how does this relate to me? So using the same example again of P&G, okay, how does the P&G relate to Jamie? Whether it's in terms of her values, skills, experience, why would Jamie fit into P&G? She would say, well, because I've got strong familiarity with personal care products. I've got strong experience in retail and local product launches. I've got experience in media production. That's what she would say to herself. No? Last portion here. How can I help? Remember, it comes back to what we talked about, what problems you solve. Okay? So here, what problems can I solve? How do I solve it? We're going back to all the things that we've done before, right? Right? So Jamie, she has to ask herself this question also. So she could probably say this. I solve these problems. Ineffective new product launcher, division between sales and marketing, unfamiliarity with retail and consumer trends. You have seen this in her problem solving statements just now. Okay? How you solve it, how she solves it, cohesive new product launches, joint sales and marketing process, integrated marketing sales. Okay? So you saw the steps that Jamie has taken, right? So if you want to take a screenshot of this, take it now. Okay, so these are the things that Jamie has done. These are the things that Jamie has done. Okay, to identify companies. So she'll do this for P&G, she'll do this for Unilever, L'Oreal, and the likes. And it becomes very clear later on which ones really, really fit her. Okay, if you want to take a picture of the framework that I was talking about, this is a picture of the framework. Again, you can take a screenshot of that. Okay, hopefully you took the 2 pictures. So now I just want to highlight a couple of other sources of information that I think you really need to look at in order to try to give you some ideas of what options are available out there. The first one is this news mechanism called Careers Finder, okay, under WSG, and the other one is the Skills Framework. Okay, so these 2 sites really give you some ideas of what's going on out there in the marketplace as far as jobs are concerned. My Careers Finder basically gives you some options based on the input that you give to them. All right. Skills Framework gives you an idea what is the nature of the job, what you need to do in order to qualify for the job, or what are the requirements and all that. Okay. So two very useful sites for you to look at. All right. Remember Raja? Let's take a look at what Raja has done. Okay, let's take a look at what Raja has done. So let me just pull myself out of the picture. Okay, so Raja, his priorities, exposure to business management and leadership role. Remember, he identified that. Okay, current fit with his organization is not low, but neither it is very high, so he put it down as medium. Okay, because there's still some possibilities for him. All right, so what are his options? Essentially, if you look at it, he's probably not going to be quitting his job, okay? But he's probably looking at what is possible within this organization itself, okay? Structural and redesign. What do I mean by structural? Can he look for a new role within the company, a new department looking at responsible for a new team? That's what we call a structural change in his job role, okay? Or can he redesign his job, maybe add in a different scope, add in more responsibilities, extend the responsibilities, new processes, accountabilities. So those are his options on the table right now. This section, we were talking about identifying options, all right? And in order to understand what options are available for us, we need to have a very clear picture of what success looks like for us, right? And really the steps we need to understand here is what are priorities, and how these fits into our current situation. And from there, we can determine what are possible for us, what are the possible paths that we can have. Okay? Questions, anyone? Anyone? Any questions regarding trying to identify possibilities and options? Okay. No? Good. So I move on to the next one, which is action. Action. Okay. Here is really about knowing what is the next step in concrete terms. Okay. Now, before I talk about actions, there are a couple of important things you need to understand. Very, very important. Before we talk about action, you need to understand these two things. Okay. So the first thing here is this. You may be familiar with this concept. Right? Most of the jobs that you see out there in the advertisement portals, the newspapers, and all that, those are only a minority of the jobs available. Okay, the rest of the jobs are actually hidden from you. They are confidential in nature. They are not in the public domain. Right? So, what is the implication of this? What is the implication that hey, most of the jobs are hidden from us? Well, it basically means you need to be able to identify all these opportunities and you need to be able to attract the opportunities to you. Okay? And the best way to do this is really to reach out and develop your own network. Develop your own network of people. Okay? So that's the first thing you need to understand first. Very, very important. Huh? Very, very important. Now, this notion of the hidden job market is a separate total workshop that I've done. Now, why is it so important for you? If you are one of those people in this category, whether you are an older worker, whether you're someone who's career switching, or whether you are coming back to the workforce after a long absence, you need to understand how to tackle the hidden job market. Okay, so go and take a look at this video. All right. The next important thing that you need to understand here is this. Employers by nature in general are averse to risk. What does this mean? So when they want to hire people, they want to hire the best people that they can find, the best people that they can afford. Okay? Which means what? It means that when they are looking at you, they are not looking at just you alone, no? It's not just about you. It is what? It is about how you can help them. How you can help them. Right? Which means what? it comes back to the notion of being a problem solver, right? Because once you are a problem solver for them, you are solving their problem, you become an asset to them. Okay? So again, very important second point here is this. Okay? Because most employers are by nature risk averse, you have to be very explicit to tell them what can you bring to the table. How can you be an asset to them? Okay? Two things are very important. Huh? All right, so let's proceed to the gist of how you create an action plan, or what are the things you need to do. The first category here is to develop and reach out your own network. So important. So important. And the purpose of this is what? The purpose of this is not to find a job. Huh? The purpose of this is to get information about what opportunities are out there. So don't go and tell your network, do you have a job for me? No. They're going to turn off. They're not going to talk to you anymore. Okay? Your process, your focus here is to find information about opportunities. Okay? The other focus that you need to do in this area is to then expand on your own personal brand. Expand on your own personal brand. I'll talk a little bit more about this later on. Okay. Then the next portion I'm going to talk about here in this section is the actual action planning, how you develop a plan itself. Okay, so let's talk about personal brand. Again, another big topic. Those of you who have been to my workshops before, especially in this particular personal branding workshop, why do we need to develop a personal brand? Can you type into the chat box? Why do you think we need to develop a personal brand? And credibility, stand out to employers, demonstrate your USP. Okay, then the question is, how do you do this? To show your own asset, what can you offer to the employer? I mean, in essence, right, you those of you who put down there, you hit it the nail on the head. You tell people who you are, what you are good at, and what problems you solve. And once you establish that out there, you are well on your way to attract the opportunities that will come to you. Because once people know that Elaine is good at solving logistical problems, wow, then any company that has got that issue will go to Elaine and say, hey, Elaine, can you help me with this? Okay, so personal branding is really, really important. And how do you establish your personal brand is good, online and offline. And one of the ways that you can actually tie the two together is really through LinkedIn. Okay, so look at this video. Take a look at this video. It goes into a lot more detail than what I can share with you today. Okay, so take a look at that video. The next one I want to talk about is informational interview. Informational interview. Again, what is the process of an informational interview and how do you go about preparing for an informational interview? Okay, so informational interview, what is it all about? What is it all about? Let me show you a short video to just give you a gist of what this is. Okay.
An informational interview is an amazingly powerful tool. It can help you learn about different types of work you're interested in. And by providing inside perspective, it may even connect you to opportunities you couldn't see from the outside. So let's take a look at what informational interviewing is all about. An informational interview is not a job interview, and it's not a tricky play to get a job. If you're asking for a job and they do have one, then they'll likely start judging whether you're a good fit. And if they don't have one, then that conversation ends there. The key to a successful informational interview is curiosity. With sincere curiosity and good questions about your interviewee's life and experience, you gain insights into their successes and failures, how they got where they are, and what's important to them. Your curiosity will lead to an authentically engaged conversation, which also opens the door for the interviewee to get curious about you. The professional you're speaking with might say something like, wow, you're asking some really good questions. And in that transition, informational interviewing becomes even more valuable for someone looking for work. Informational interviews give you an opportunity to see what kinds of work resonate with you and help you determine what communities you would like to be a part of. In a good informational interview, the professional you speak with gets a lot out of the conversation too. They get to discuss their life and their work with someone who's curious about their experience and values their expertise. Plus, they get the pleasure of talking with someone who's genuinely interested in what they do. How do you do it well? Here are 5 tips to get you started. First, do your homework. Take some time to research LinkedIn or other online platforms to learn about the professional you're interviewing. Consider what questions you have about their life and work. The second tip is to try to meet in person. On the phone is okay, but face-to-face is best. 3, always try to buy the coffee or lunch. Your interviewee is giving you their time. Paying is a good way of showing your appreciation and beginning to create a connection. 4, ask your interviewee who else they recommend you talk with. If the interview has gone well, they may be willing to connect you to other professionals you can learn from and who might have opportunities for you. Finally, tip number 5. After the interview, send a thank you. Email is okay, but a handwritten note is even better. And if they ask you to keep them posted on your progress, do so.
Okay, more information in the YouTube link that I just given to you in the chat box, where it tells you about how you prepare for it as well. So go and take a look. Now, essentially, if you look at it, informational interview has a lot of things going for it. Number one, obviously, you develop your own network, and then you have the opportunity to project your brand further out there. Okay, but one thing I always like people to be mindful of when you go out and meet people during the informational interview process is this notion that they can become your own recruiter network. Right? Can you imagine Pia goes out and develop a whole network of people looking out for her of the job opportunities? Yeah? Very, very strong mechanism for you to do something like this. Okay? So, building relationships, I don't call it networking because a lot of people think networking is like a 4-letter word, so I'm not going to use that word networking, but I'm not focusing on relationship because that is really what it is all about. Okay? Here, again, the focus is not on you, but it's on how you can help the other party. How you can help the other party. All right? So basically, if you look at it, there are certain priorities when you are looking out and building a network. One is relationship and trust is important. If they don't trust you, they're not going to talk to you. Okay? You want to get more information about opportunities that are not advertised out there. All right? So please focus on that. Okay? You want to create awareness with whoever you're talking with. Okay? If you want to establish a strong connection, especially if the first time you're meeting with them, find something in common. Okay, whether it is alumni, whether it's the same industry, referral is best. Okay, or maybe you say that, oh, we went to the same networking event, or I saw your article that you wrote. Okay, don't ask for a job, please. That's not your focus. Your focus is to build trust. Your focus is to get more information. Okay, ascertain how you can help the other party. Okay, what value can you bring to the table? Always be prepared. Don't go in cold. Always be prepared. Okay, so let's take a look at Jamie. What is Jamie's plan now? Right, so let's revisit. Jamie, priority, we mentioned this already, exposure to marketing, great team, current fit is low. Okay, and she has identified these factors that is her success, picture of success. Being allowed to exercise creativity, being involved, working with great colleagues. Okay, so that's her picture of success. Okay, she has ranked these as important things for her in her working environment, right? And she has listed down these companies that could potentially she want to target. All right, so this is what Jamie has right now after going through all the exercise up there that you've gone through and you've seen. Okay, so personal brand. How can Jamie then position herself? So given all the information, she could possibly say she wants to be known as a creative product marketeer. Okay, and what is her passion, experience, and passionate about? Personal care industry. Okay, what problem she solves? You see that, not new to you. You've gone through the case with her, right? So she will say all this in her LinkedIn profile. She will tweak her LinkedIn profile to position herself like that. Then how she goes out and develop a network. Using LinkedIn and other sources, she will connect up with a FMC, fast-moving consumer product group, marketing peers. She will link up with top companies in this sphere. Okay, she will join marketing forums and associations and go out and meet people. Okay, so that's how she goes about establishing her own personal brand. Let's look at Raja. Raja's priorities, you see down there, exposure to business management, leadership role. Okay, here, his picture of success, leading a business unit. Okay, opportunity to expand and grow a company to regional powerhouse, public listing, helping a company go public listing. Okay, his options were what? Whether it's a structural change in his role or redesign his role. Right? But it still means he wants to establish a personal brand, right? Doesn't mean that he's not looking for a new job. Doesn't mean that he shouldn't look at his own personal brand. He still has to, because internally within his company, people will still look at that. Okay, so his personal brand will be what? Trying to be a strategic business and financial planning leader. That's one aspect, right? What is he excited about? About helping organization grow exponentially, building leading teams. That's it, what he's excited about. Problems he solves. Okay, you've seen all this in the previous slides already. Okay, again, same thing. He goes through LinkedIn, reinforces this in the LinkedIn profile. Okay, remember, even though he's looking at developing internally within his company would still be very cognizant of the brand that he has. Because if the company just sees Raja as someone in finance, he's never going to get the opportunities that the company may be able to provide. Okay, so he has to also develop his brand internally within the company. Building networks among CEOs, MDs, CFOs, right? Goes to large SMEs who are maybe just before going public listing. Okay, join forums, associations for CEOs, CFOs, establishing a network out there. Okay, so you've got Jamie's personal branding approach. You've got Raja's personal branding approach. So we talk a little bit about going out and connecting with people, okay, where we get information, where we are trying to project our personal brand. Let's talk about the actual plan itself. How do we establish a plan? How do we establish a plan? Same thing again. What questions do we ask? What questions do we ask? Very simple, right? When you're establishing a plan, really you want to know, what do you want? Okay? When do you want to achieve this? And how are you going to achieve this? Okay? If you can imagine this, you've got your starting point and your end point, right? There's a gap, right? So the plan is to help you address the gap so that you can reach your end point. Okay? So let's take a look at the actual process itself. Okay, so you've got your career goals, what you want to achieve. Okay, so essentially, if you look at it, that could be crafted as your long-term goal. And then you need to consider when you want to achieve this. Then the next components you see here are your short-term goals. It could be short-term goal 1, 2, and 3. And then similarly, when you need to achieve those short-term goals in order to achieve your long-term goal. Okay, so the process here is very simple. You identify where you want to go to, imagining the career success and all that. Then you develop steps to reach that goal. Okay, so I'm going to bring you through an example of Jamie again. Okay, just to kind of give you an idea of the thinking that you need to do. So here's Jamie. What's her long-term goal? She wants to be a senior or regional marketing person in the FMCG group, fast-moving consumer goods, in 5 years. Very specific about that. That's her long-term goal. So her long-term goal is 5 years. Okay, so she needs to break them down into short-term goals in order to achieve the long-term goals. So what's the first short-term goal she needs to have? The first short-term goal she feels is she needs to move out and acquire a new product manager role, specifically within the FMCG sector. And she needs to do this within 6 to 9 months. Okay, now, it's very well saying that she needs to do this. Then the question is how? How are you going to do this? So she needs to break it down by steps. These are the things that she feels she needs to do. Okay, connect up with key marketing people in 1 to 2 months through informational interviews, scan marketing opportunities in the next 2 to 3 months, develop suitable job application materials, all leading up to applying for jobs. Okay, so that's first short-term goal. That's not all. She still needs to do other things, because she's got 5 years, right? So the short-term goal is to get the first job. Short-term goal 2, what? After she gets the job, she needs to be able to progress to a marketing role in 2 years. Okay, a senior marketing role, right? What does she need to do? So within that new job, she feels that, hey, I need to participate in key marketing activities very quickly, hopefully within the first year. Okay, she needs to be able to understand what are the key skills needed to be promoted to a senior marketing role. Okay, and therefore she needs to work with someone like a supervisor or a mentor to help her be able to progress, go along that path in that particular time frame. Right? So 2 years. So she still have work to do, right? Because no, still not enough. So short-term goal 3. Short-term goal 3. Okay. Acquire strategic marketing experiences within the 4 years. Okay. So she feels that by doing this, it will be probably like one of the final key missing steps for her to achieve a leadership role in this sector. Okay, in that time frame. What does she need to do? Scan courses she needs to take in order to get new skills, right? Like strategic marketing skills or whatever. Okay, participate in strategic marketing planning. Okay? Develop a team leadership role in year 3 and 4. Okay, so you can see these are Jamie's action plan. No doubt Jamie has listed all these things down very, very carefully, but one thing is missing. Do you think Jamie knows how to do all the steps? She may know some, she may not know all the steps. So she needs to identify who can help her rather. Right? What support you need, what support she needs, what resources she needs. So she needs to be very specific about those. Okay? So if you want to take a picture of Jamie's action plan, take a picture now. My next slide will give you a picture of the framework that I was just bringing you through. Okay, so Jamie's action plan, hopefully you've taken that. Next one will be the framework that I was using just now. You can take a picture of that. Okay. All right. Hopefully you got those pictures. Now, you have done the action planning. Very nice, all the steps. That's not all, You need to track your progress. You need to track your progress. Okay? So how do you track your progress? Obviously now the first thing is that when you are establishing your goals, they have to be SMART goals, right? What are SMART goals? What SMART means what? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Okay? Lots of materials on the internet about this, so you need to be able to establish that. So your long-term goal and your short-term goal needs to be SMART goals. Okay? Accountability is so important. What do we mean by accountability? Basically, it's like, you are reporting to someone what you are doing and your progress. So you are held accountable by that person. Some people, like some of my clients, they use the spouse as an accountability platform. They will commit to the spouse, that's what I want to do, right? Some others would commit to, let's say, a mentor. This is what you want to do. So create some form of accountability, right? Because if you don't have accountability, you just hoo-ha, you be laissez-faire, you may not be motivated to push yourself. Okay? Feedback is so important. Everything you do, try and get feedback from people around you, people who are interested in your progress, right? Plans change. things change. You have to be very adaptable. Okay, nobody anticipated COVID, but many companies adapted to it. Many people adapted to it. So you have to have the same level of adaptability. Okay, and I always find that this is something many people tend not to do so well. If you achieve something in your action plan, celebrate. Go and, go for a nice dinner with your spouse or whoever, celebrate your achievement. Don't think that, no lah, just small step only. Celebrate it. Okay? You deserve it. Okay? All right. So I spent the last 30 minutes or so on this topic, which I think is particularly important, right? How to develop an action plan. Right. So I mentioned two things that's important that you must consider. Can you remember what those two things are? Okay. Number one is the hidden job market. This has implication for what? This has implication for how you go out and search for opportunities. The other thing you have to understand is that employers are risk adverse. So this has implication of you positioning yourself as an asset. Okay. So these two things you need to understand. And from this, you can then be very clear, okay, maybe then your best progress, your best form of action is to go out and develop connections with other people who can tell you where the opportunities are. At the same time, this is an opportunity for you to project your personal branding out there, telling people how good you are, what you do, how you solve their problem, so you can attract opportunities. I went through the planning steps. I've given you an example of Jamie's action plan. So hopefully that was pretty clear to you. Okay. Don't forget the last part where you ask what resources or help you need in order to help you achieve that plan. Because a lot of people tend to ignore that or tend to omit that in their plan, right? Which is a major mistake. Right? By going through a summary, and then we can have a general Q&A later. Huh? All right. Over the last couple of hours, we started off by talking about self-coaching. And we said self-coaching is basically where you cultivate your own personal development by assessing your own inner wisdom. Okay? And here, essentially, is about asking the right questions to yourself. Okay? So you need to know what are the right questions to ask yourself. Okay? We talked about understanding yourself. Also, we talked about the career development process. These are the 4 steps, right? And I went into each individually. The first one was issues. You need to identify what are the real issues, things that you can influence, and make sure that you are succinct and accurate about what those issues are. Many of you mentioned you want a career switch. Career switch is not an issue. The issue is maybe you don't know how to do it, or you don't know the processes, or you don't know which industry to go into, right? Once you're very precise about the issue, tackle those issues. Okay? If you say a big picture like, I want to do a career switch, that's a big picture. What is the issue there? Okay? Right. We spend a lot of time in the process of understanding yourself. Okay? And we ask 3 broad categories of questions here. What engages you? What's important to you? What you do well? Understanding these 3 areas will allow you to identify what problems you can solve. And the power of this is that you can then take this set of problems you solve, go out to the marketplace, identify companies that you can help solve. You can help. Okay? And imagine this then becomes your superpower. Your problem solving areas, this becomes your superpower. All right. We talked about options, developing options. And I mentioned that this is one of the priorities as far as the coaching process is concerned. You need to look at what's possible for you. But before you look at what's possible for you, you need to have a picture of what success means to you. What does it look like for you? Okay? Once you understand this, then you can work out what are the possibilities you have. The question you need to ask yourself, what's important to you? What are the priorities right now in your life, in your job, in your career? And from there, you are able to develop a list of different things that you can do. Action planning. We spent a fair sum in the last few minutes on this. We talked about two important areas that we need to be mindful of, right? The hidden job market and positioning ourselves as an asset. Okay. From there, we are able to go and connect out with people in the right way. We are able to project ourselves as far as a personal brand is concerned in the right way. Right? We talked a little bit about the steps, the action planning steps. Be precise, be measurable, be smart. Okay? And be open to asking for help. Now, in this whole portion itself, the action planning part, your focus here should be on gaining credibility. Okay? Gaining credibility. That should be your focus. Hopefully, time now is 16:09, 4:09. Right? You have gone through the whole last couple of hours. You managed to get these learning points. Now, I just want to sort of make sure we understand a final thing, a final piece here. Okay. Remember, I talked about self-coaching, right? At the beginning, I said, this is an opportunity for you to empower yourself to be able to develop your thinking outside the box. You want to be in control of your own career story, be a protagonist, right? In essence, you are saying you want to make a difference for yourself, right? Because, this is what you want to do. Now, that's fine and good. For many, that is a driver for you for change. Now, the thing I need to sort of emphasize here is this. While you can do this alone, many people find that it is so beneficial for them to have someone else helping them along the way. Okay? Everyone needs a coach in some form or manner. Maybe you call it a mentor, but at least someone that helps you. I came across this video recently, which I thought was really interesting. So I want to share this with you.
Everyone needs a coach. It doesn't matter whether you're a basketball player, a tennis player, a gymnast, or a bridge player. My bridge coach, Sharon Osberg, says there are more pictures of the back of her head than anyone else's in the world. Sorry, Sharon. Here you go. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve.
I remember the very first time I had a life coach, they weren't called that at the time, but an expert on, who shared with our audience, nurture yourself, honor yourself, stop the crazy mind chatter in your head that tells you all the time that you're not good enough.
Sure, something bad happened. Something bad happened to everybody on the planet. I don't care who you are, something bad has happened to you. But if you continue to tell that story to yourself, that is who you are, it will continue to be true. That damage will stay for the rest of your life. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Coaching is one of the most valuable tools in the world. A coach just has a different perspective. I mean, even back in those days, the best athletes in the days, the Gretzkys, the Michael Jordans, et cetera, they all had a coach. Still to this day, the best have coaches, because the coach can see what you can't see because you're in the forest, they're outside of it.
These years I've received so many different kinds of advice, I don't know where to start. One that comes to mind is to have a coach. Our board member in 2002, John Doerr, said, you need a coach. And I said, well, I don't need a coach. I'm an established CEO. Why would I need a coach? Is something wrong? He said, no, you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. So Bill Campbell became my coach and has served Google very well. Every famous athlete, every famous performer has somebody who's a coach. Somebody who can watch what they're doing and say, is that what you really meant? Did you really do that? They can give them perspective. The one thing people are never good at is seeing themselves as others see them. A coach really, really helps.
I want to tell you a story about my coaching journey. When I first started out on this practice about 8.5 years ago, okay, one of the biggest differences I found between my clients from different regions is this. I had clients from North America, I had clients in Asia. Clients from North America viewed the coaching relationship as a strategic weapon. They viewed coaching as something that helped them, and they were very open about it. In Asia, in Singapore, it was totally different. They viewed coaching as a corrective action. If you got a problem, if you got an issue, the coach will help you solve that problem. So the mentality is very different. Very, very different. Okay? Now, I would say that in Asia and Singapore, we haven't gone to the mentality where we are looking at coaches as a strategic lever to help us in our career. Right? Still some way to go. So I hope that you, after thinking, looking through this whole process, right, you see coaching as something that is something you need, even though you may be doing well, like, the CEOs and all that, they're doing well, but they still ask for a coach because it is a strategic lever. It is not a corrective action. Okay? Now, everyone needs a coach because what? We give you a different perspective. Sometimes when you're doing your self-coaching, it's very difficult for you to think of what other people are seeing about you, right? So you need someone to look at that. And because you may not have all the knowledge in the world, so you may not be able to find a different way of doing things. Someone like a coach can help you with that. They have the knowledge sometimes to help you, okay? Many a time, structure is important for us. The coaching process is a structured process, okay? For us, naturally, when the going gets tough, we tend to take shortcuts. Sometimes that doesn't work well, right? You need someone to push you out of the comfort zone, especially those who are familiar with athletic coaching. They keep pushing you, pushing. Similarly, career coach and all that, right? One of my jobs as a career coach is to be able to push out my clients to say, can you do one step further? Can you go beyond what you've just done? Okay? Blind spots. Sometimes we don't see those things that are happening. Somebody outside can help you do that. Okay, cheerleader. This is one of the functions I enjoy the most. Remember I said about celebrating milestones? This is one of the things that I enjoy when one of my clients achieves something. I get so much joy in seeing that person be so happy when they achieve something. It may not be the end goal, but the intermediate step is still important enough. Okay? So what I've actually expressed just now, when I share with you the self-coaching process, I feel that it is important for you to understand the self-coaching process in order to have an idea of what you can do to push yourself ahead. But it is not the only thing you can do, right? So that's why I want to pay homage back to my coaching students, people who have come to me for coaching lessons and become a certified coach. I'm not getting you out of a job because, you are still important, okay? So, right? Self-coaching, very useful weapon, okay? But it's also very useful if you have an external party to look at what you are doing. Which is, I need your help to fill up the survey, right? But before that, let me share with you my following sessions. Okay, I will have one in October on career confidence after 40, and on the 16th of November, coping with change. So registration for this is the same way that you'll do this, that you did for today's session itself. Okay. Now, after this particular short session, for those of you who are familiar, you don't have to stay, but essentially I'm following up with how we can continue this relationship between you and me. At the same time, during the session, I will also give you an idea of how you can get a video recording of this particular workshop itself. So stay tuned. So in the meantime, if you can help me fill up the survey form. So maybe I'll give you 5 minutes to do this, then I'll come back and I'll end up the whole session with the final portion about how we can continue this working relationship. Okay, right. So let's move on to the final portion, which I think some of you are asking about the video. So let me sort of go through this with you. Essentially, if you are wanting a copy of this video, you got to fill up this form, and then I'll send you the link to it. It is in the form of a newsletter. So let me paste all the links that I'm going to share with you into the chat box. Okay, so all the links are in the chat box itself. So the first one is the workshop video, where this is the same link that you see on the screen, right? So essentially, I'm going to send the link to you probably about 2 weeks after today, and then I'm going to put it in the form of a newsletter, and this newsletter will only be sent once a month, okay? Once a month only. And the newsletter will contain other relevant bits of information in regards to career management, job seeking, and all that, okay? So if you want, you can continue with the being a part of the mailing list so that I can send those to you as well. If you don't want the newsletter, you can always unsubscribe, okay? So the next thing that I want to sort of share with you is basically the YouTube channel. Again, the link is in the chat box itself. So basically what I'm going to make a few changes to the YouTube channel. So essentially, because I realized that I have a lot of videos from the workshops that I've done in the past, and they are sitting there, a valuable archive. So two things I'm going to do, which I'm going to take a bit of time. Number one is I'm going to extract a lot of short videos from all those workshops so that it becomes bite-sized for you, make it more relevant for you. Okay. The other exciting thing that I'm really worked up about is I'm going to use the video content, all right, and put all the content into a chat bot, my own little GPT bot, where I'm going to create a knowledge base from the videos and maybe other materials, where then you can go and ask questions about my philosophy on career management and job search and all that. So that's a very exciting project I'm hoping to embark on over the next couple of months or so. So in order for you to be exposed to that, best way for you to do this is either on a newsletter or even better, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can get firsthand when I release all those things. Okay, so I'm very excited about that. And obviously, of course, you can always connect up with me via email or going to my LinkedIn profile and all. So down there, you can see all the information there. Again, it's also in the chat box itself, all the links. Okay. The other thing that I just want to highlight here is that we talked a lot about self-coaching, but I also do coaching as part of my practice, and I do basically in terms of packages. So you see the 3 different packages here, right? So if you're interested, just drop me an email, and basically if you've been a participant for my workshops, there's a preferential discount for you as well. Okay. I mentioned about career coaching process, okay, the coaching course rather, right? So I'm one of the few instructors in Singapore that actually conducts a course which allows you to get international coaching credentials, okay? And this is something that I'm passionate about as well. So the big difference here I have with other coaches here in Singapore is that I do on a very small scale. My maximum class size is 6 people, but my most common coaching course is actually 1-to-1, but not everybody qualifies for that. So if you're interested to know more, either go to the website or you can contact me directly and I can share with you more. Okay, the link is in the chat box as well. Okay, I want to sort of round this off by sharing with you a little statement I came across just 2 days ago. Okay, the most important skill is controlling your attention. And what do we mean by this? To figure out what you should be working on and identifying what moves the needle. Okay? So really, in essence, this coaching process, the self-coaching process, is really your way of identifying what moves you ahead, what moves the needle. Okay? Whether you do it through a self-process or whether you do it with someone else. Okay? I think it's really, really important for you to know what those factors are. Okay, so again, I just want to make sure that you view your own career progression as something that is within your own hands, right? It is actionable on your part, right? But you can also get help from other people if you so wish. All right. Thank you so much for staying with me for the last 2.5 hours or so. It has been my pleasure, and I really enjoyed sharing this with you, even the process of preparing this, right? Every time I do this, I add something new and something exciting. I hope, for those of you who have been through my sessions will see some of the differences here, okay? I hope you have the takeaways from today's session, and I really do hope you keep in touch. By all means, if you've got any questions, just email me, all right? I'll try my best to answer those for you. Okay, everyone? It is now 4:30. 真正假逼婚. Okay, so take care, everyone. Okay, I hope to see you again soon, whether it's in the next workshop or maybe by LinkedIn or whatever. All right, but in any case, stay in touch and take care. All right, ciao, everyone. I see you soon.